Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Scrambled Eggs, a podcast you'll hear only if you're lucky. I'm Zoe.
I'm Kingsley.
So, just a little heads up, this podcast will be talking about death. So, if this topic is too heavy for you, maybe you can skip this episode and listen to our other ones, which are more, light and happy. So, thank you for your support. Today we'll be speaking in English, which means we're back for another episode of Scotch Egg Series.
Yes.
Today we'll be talking about quite a heavy topic.
We always talk about very heavy topics.
Philosophical
topics.
But it's something that's really common, as in it's happening every day, every second in the world.
Yeah.
And it's about death. And we would like to add another thing that we really want to talk about, and it's the fear of dying.
Yeah.
So the first thing I would like to ask about, death is, it's quite philosophical if you think about it this way. It's what do you think there is? What do you think, is there life? Is there anything after death? Is there pitch black? Or do you think, according to some religion, you will go somewhere else, to heaven or to hell or, just another space?
Personally, I do believe in spirits. And also, there's a theory the moment you die, your spirit actually leaves your body.
Right.
And then you can see what's going on around you for a very short period of time. And there are people talking about the moment you die, you have a flashback, throwback of your entire life. That kind
I've heard that.
I personally, I do believe in that. It's spirits can actually be around you in every moment, but I don't really think too much about how would I exist after I die. What about you?
Yeah, I think I am quite similar to what you think about it. It's I don't really give it much thought, as in I try to focus on living my life now more than worrying about what there is after my eventual death. Because I feel even if there's a nicer life or there's something else, I wouldn't know. So just worrying about that won't benefit me living in the moment right now. So I would rather focus on what I wanted to do in this life rather than worry about that. I can worry if there is something potentially after death, then I can worry about that then instead of now.
But I found there's an idea which is really interesting. It's about karma. It's how many good deeds that you've done in your life, it's gonna it's gonna bring you to a better life or a worse life in your next life. So and I always have this kind of very interesting mindset about who am I in my last life? Am I still an Asian, or am I a boy or a girl? What's my background? What's my story? And I would really love to know who I am, who I was. Yeah. And why did I forget everything about my past life? I really want to bring that kind of memory to this life, but at the same time, it can be good memories or bad memories, But it's really interesting. I really like this idea.
Yeah, and I think some cultures, different cultures, have different looks about reincarnation. So some people think becoming human again, I think is Buddhism.
Yes.
It's suffering, living as a human is suffering. But some culture consider human is the highest form of reincarnation, as in you've done really good deeds in your past life. That's why you're rewarded to be reincarnated as a person instead of cockroaches or some kind of worm or something like that. Well, what do you think about that?
I don't necessarily believe in that, but I do think that's kind of a saying to make people to kind of like encourage people to do good things and treat people kindly during their life, because if there's not such saying, people will be like, I can do whatever I want, I can just treat people badly, I don't care about people's feeling. But with this kind of religious thoughts or like a belief, I would say it actually help a group of people to give them a better direction in life, and to like, okay, I need to like help people more, I need to treat people kind in order to have a better life. But some people would say like, oh, it's because you want to have a better life, it's not from the bottom of your heart.
Yeah, it's like out of your own agenda. It's not like because you actually want to help people.
Yeah.
So that's not necessarily a good thing.
But
like
at the same time,
on the surface, it's good.
On the surface, at least if the other party didn't know the intention behind that, that's fine. I would love to be treated very kindly. Don't treat me badly, okay?
Yeah, that's true. But I think I do sometimes agree with, like, I think there is a Buddhism saying, like, correct me if I'm wrong. It's like saying to live is to suffer. Which is like, I agree with it. I agree to it, like on some sort of level. Like I agree, like there's happiness as well within life. But at the same time, why am I existing? Like I could be like, a particle, like something that has no conscience and something that will not think or contemplate about why I'm here. Because like sometimes, they say like knowledge is a curse, and like the more you want to know, the more you find out, like the more unhappy you are, which is I think essentially what's going on in this world, because we always want answers. So we always want to, learn more, which is like good, like if you look at it in another perspective. But at the same time, this like never ending abyss of trying to find answers and not accepting that, some things, maybe they just don't have answers, Yeah. And it's just like this thought, like it's eating us alive. It's like, it's some kind of suffering.
And I think it's sort of like, as a human being, we were born to encounter different difficulties, and we have our mental health issues, and then we have a lot of things to deal with in our lives. I don't necessarily say that as other creatures they won't have mental health issues. We don't know, but like in at least in our generation, we always encounter these kind of like comparison between people, fear of losing something, fear of failure. All these kind of like negative feelings, which can kind of lead us to a very bad ending, I would say. And sometimes we really worry too much about this, and I think that's kind of like the reason behind that.
I think another thing that we can talk about death is have you experienced death, as in like maybe personally, like a close call towards death, or like death of people around you, and like how you cope, or how you felt and how you deal with it?
I think the first time I really encountered someone's death was when I was 13. Yeah, it was.
I had my first love. Come above.
No, it's not first love. It's someone close to me. Like it's not like I like after I was born, there's certainly some relatives passing away, but the first time that I was like consciously experiencing that whole process was when I was 13, and it was my grandma. I do remember things went down quite quickly. It's like suddenly she got sick and she was like hospitalized, and then we all of the relatives, we visited the hospitals like every other day, and it's like I didn't really feel the process, to be honest. Like even though I knew she was sick, I didn't really feel like she was leaving back when I was 13. Yeah. Until the moment she passed away, and then that there's sort of this kind of things that we usually do, which was like, do you have anything to say to your grandma, something like that. That kind of process is quite impactful because I never saw my dad cried, and then at that moment he cried really badly. I've never seen that in my life, and I still remember how he cried up till today. Like, even it's almost like 10 years later, 8 years later, I still remember that. It was really my first time, and I didn't really feel she left me right after like all the the ceremony's done. I didn't feel that, but maybe a month or two later, I felt that, oh, she really left me. I missed what she cooked. Yeah, that kind of feeling. And that was my first time. And then throughout the rest of my life, I also like encountered different people's passing away. Like my piano teacher, I think he got cancer, and I knew he was sick for quite a long period of time, and then he was like doing chemo or something. And I was in the UK at that moment, and I was like, okay, after quarantine, I need to find him. I just suddenly I think that I need to find him. And then when I was in the hotel during quarantine, he passed away. And it's such a coincidence. And then the day he held the like ceremony was the day I left the hotel, but it was because I have the Amber Code, so I couldn't go to the ceremony place. Yeah, so it's all of these stuff that's like such a coincidence. I couldn't like say a proper goodbye to him. He taught me so many things in life and also in music. And yeah, those two are quite remarkable to me, I would say. What about you?
I think my first encounter with death was death of an uncle. But I was really, really young back then, so I don't really remember anything major apart from like he was there and then he wasn't. So I remember like being at a funeral, but like it's really blurry in terms of memory. I think I was like maybe 2, 3, 4 years old back then. Remember seeing some tears, but nothing too like major on my part. Like I didn't break down, or like I think it was just like I don't know. I didn't know what was going on.
You don't really know what's going on.
And I was so young that like I don't recall any like most of it now. But the first thing that was quite major for me was my grandpa. I think he passed away when I was in primary school. He was like in hospital, and then so like it was in the middle of the night, and then suddenly my mom and dad woke me up and said like, we're going to the hospital now. And then when I arrived there, like my grandma was there crying already. My grandma lived closer to the hospital, so she arrived first, which makes sense. But then like my grandpa wasn't there anymore, and like my grandma was like really sad, and like she was crying. And there was this like thing going on about like how the carer didn't call us in advance, like so we can actually see him like before he died. But then at the same time, death, it doesn't give you like a warning. So exactly. It's not like something you can actually plan in advance and okay, I'll make a call and things.
Yeah, you cannot predict anything.
Death can be really sudden. So in retrospect, I think she like why my grandma said that was also because like I think grief was also kind of impacting her judgment and things like that, which is like totally understandable. But then everyone, like my aunt, like the whole family was there. And then I think me and my cousin, like we were young, but we were not that young anymore. Like obviously we were aware of what's happening. Like my grandpa is like dead, it's gone. But then, like, I think most of the time we just stood there and was slightly confused, I think. Like, we know, okay, like, oh, our grandpa, which, like, we hung out with, which we spent time with, is gone now. But then, what now, then? So...
I think it's just because, like, we didn't feel that they're passing away, it's more like you didn't spend every day with them, I would say.
Yeah, it's not like such
obviously
big impact.
Yeah, obviously you spend time with them maybe weekly or even monthly, but like you met them. But at the same time, you didn't technically live with them, and they didn't technically raise you or really have that intimacy with you, you know what I mean? So you didn't feel that kind of impact, like, oh, they're leaving, they're forever be gone. Yeah,
I think I felt that when it was like I think a year or a half later, when like my other grandfather passed away. So I was actually in camp during that time. We had like this school camp, like army camp.
Oh, is
and
it
then,
in
Form 1,
Form 1? Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was during that time. And then suddenly a teacher approached me and said like, oh, we're taking you to the hospital now. I think there's something going on with your grandpa. And then my teacher drove me to the hospital. But then I think by then it was already too late. Like my parents, my uncles, and like my aunts were there. So I think they might have seen him before he died, but like obviously because like the hospital is so far away from the campsite, because the campsite is like really, really far away.
It's
obviously
far away from the
it's not in the city center.
Yeah.
So I didn't make it, but at that moment I don't think I cried or like. Maybe I was just like, it was so sudden because like I was at school, like in a camp, and it was just so sudden. Like I don't think I had time to process this feeling yet. So like after, look like, okay, he's dead, and then like, oh, I'm sad obviously, but then I just told my mom that like, oh, now I need to go back to camp. I think I just told my mom, oh, I'm gonna get like some biscuits and go back to camp. And then, like, I remember late that night, like, I stared at the ceiling. Like, I didn't cry or anything, but I stared at the ceiling.
You were shocked, I would
think
say.
shock and, like, this hollowness, and then, like, maybe confused because I was really close with my, like, this grandfather, this grandpa. So I think I felt it more. And also because, like, obviously I was older back then compared to, like, the
first grandpa.
Passing of my first grandpa, So I think I felt a little bit more, but then nothing really hit me until the day of the funeral, which I think is finally, like, I had time to process the feeling.
Yes, the funeral.
And then like I finally realized, oh, like this is it, like, because I think my grandpa is gonna be, I think, cremated. So I think. I think. So it's like, that's it, like, maybe before, even if he's dead, like there's still the body there, so you could like there's still him, he's still there. But then like when you realize like after the funeral there won't even be a body anymore, and then it just suddenly hits me, and I don't really like showing emotions in front of my family. So I remember I ran out of the funeral like ceremony place, and I went like behind like an alley just by the funeral place, and I just cried. Like my aunt saw me crying, and like and then my whole family knew, which is like, fine. But
obviously,
like they came to comfort me.
Yeah.
And then like my aunt came to comfort me, and then I was just like, I think that was when all my feelings like it came in waves. Like I couldn't stop it. Like I was like, oh, I miss him. Like we spent so much time together, and now he's finally like he's gone. Like what would I do? Like I don't know. Like I was, oh my god, now I'm getting like a little teary just talking about it.
Yeah, but it's actually quite impactful to see the corpse like being in front of you. They're not like moving anymore. They're technically a dead body. But when you talked about what you experienced, it also reminded me that feeling when I was looking at the dead body. I was like, what if she woke up at this moment? What should we do? I actually had this thought.
They look like they're sleeping, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's not that impactful. But when you're at the funeral like ceremony, you know that, okay, they're gonna get cremated. Like the whole thing will be gone, and then it just suddenly hits you like, he's really gone now.
Yeah, and then during the ceremony, they will ask you to say something, and then there's some like ceremony kind of thing you need to do, and then the whole process is just like reminding you, okay, this person is leaving you. Yes, he's leaving you or she's leaving you. What you should do now? And then you're like, oh, I'm gonna cry. Yeah, it's just like constantly reminding you that, oh, they're leaving.
Yeah,
but you kind of like cannot adjust that.
Quite impactful.
Yeah.
For me.
But
yeah,
have you ever thought about death, or do you ever fear about death or dying alone?
Well, this is like, I can write an essay about that, to be honest.
Okay. Let's hear about
like,
it.
And this is like such a like deep topic to talk about, like a deep question to ask us, and like I think even dating back to times of Socrates or like Aristotle, I think these are the questions they think about. Like, okay, what is death? Like, what is death to us? What is like life after death? Do we fear dying? You know, all those philosophical things. And like sometimes I think about it, and honestly, do I fear death? No. Like, do I fear like, okay, suddenly my life ends? No. But I do fear like not achieving the things that I want. Yes. Before dying.
Oh my God.
As in like, that's my major fear. I do not fear like dying and just like leaving this world. Like I couldn't give like less, you know, whatever that is about it. Kind of swear, sorry. But yeah, I think because I don't want to just leave this world without making my mark. Yes. It's not like, okay, I need to be famous. Like I need to have fame and be like really like, okay, really impactful, or be really famous among like, I don't know, the world. Like, okay, maybe like a president or like a music icon, or, you know, it's just like icons, or like, you know, those kind of big stars or big famous people in general. But like things that I want to achieve, you know, like for example, I want to be able to get my own house, or, you know, get my own life.
I relate to it a lot.
Maybe this is like very normal things, but it's something I want to do, and it's like a goal for me. So I don't really want to be like, I don't really want to not be able to do that and then like leave.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
So I was like really paranoid like some days ago, and also like after I've moved, I think I think about that a lot more. About I don't have suicidal thoughts. I don't want to kill myself. So, and like but I also don't fear dying at the same time. Just really fear this. I just have this really big urge that I want to achieve. That what if I don't do anything or don't make it like a mark in this world, and I just, you know, pass on, and like nobody.
Yes, exactly.
Nobody will remember me. Like I don't really mind if people don't remember me, but like.
But that's actually what I thought about.
Myself.
Yeah. I totally agree with you. But there's something different, which is I do fear of death, but it's more like the fear of not achieving those things is more than death. But in that sense, is that I don't fear death, but I do fear death. It's like because if I die, I may not have the opportunity to finish the goals that I want to achieve. Right. And it's like I just have I think we both have so many things that we want to achieve in life. And when you talk about like, you're not trying to be like a famous star or whatever, but I think for both of us, it's more like we want to make an impact to the world, like on the world, and like trying to be like, oh, we exist in this world. It's not like we just get born and then like, oh, we survive and then we die. At least we did something that's good to maybe people around us, or good to ourselves, or maybe to the society or something. Apparently we all have this kind of like, we can do something to the society, or we can do something to like the people we love. I think it's more of that kind of fear. And when you talk about like whether I have suicidal thoughts, I think I kind of did before when I was like 14 or something, but I didn't really hurt myself because I was really fear of pain. But I think when you had that kind of idea, it means you didn't really think about committing suicide. I think it's more like, because you're really conscious about like, you don't hurt yourself. And also I have this kind of idea that what if I just like kill myself now, and then I may not have the opportunity to achieve things. Like back in 14, I was already thinking about this. So I'm like, I cannot die. I need to achieve things in life. I really do have this kind of thought. Yeah.
Yeah, I think about dying alone. I've like actually given this a lot of thought. But you know, when I really think about it now, like I don't know, maybe I feel differently in like a few years' time or like for the rest of my life. But I honestly don't fear dying alone. I don't mind it. Like I don't mind it at all. Like sometimes I feel like a lot of people, okay, they want their family members to surround them when they die, which is like completely normal. But like I don't really necessarily want people to surround me when I die. Like I don't need people to look at me that way. And at the same time, I just feel like, I feel like it's an obligation of mine, as in like, my loved ones have to watch me die. Like, it's a decent thing to do, but it's not something I want. Like, I don't really care. Like, I don't know if this is mean or not, but I don't really care if people are there when I die.
I think for me, I don't really, I don't care about like the moment when I die. Like if anyone's around, I don't care about that. But I do want the loved ones or like people who care about me come to my funeral, and like we can have the last moment before I go to somewhere else, like before I was like buried, or like different kinds of like burying my body or whatever. Yeah. And when you talk about dying alone, I actually like wrote a lyric about dying alone, which is like I ain't ready to leave the world behind. Am I scared of seeing loved ones die or dying alone tonight? It really hits me because it's like I do fear of losing my loved ones. Like I do fear of losing my family members, my friends, maybe my lovers, or even if I ever have a pet, I do really fear of them like going away, like leaving me forever. So would I rather choose to die alone or seeing the people that I love die? It's like a very like heavy topic, but I still cannot find the answer because I do fear of dying alone. It's not like the moment I die, but more like am I gonna like have no interaction with people, or no one really cares about me when I was like in my later years, and maybe around the time I die, you know what I mean? I do fear about that.
But at the same time, I always feel like after you die, even if people come to your funeral, like it could be people like from far away or like relatives, but like don't those interactions matter most when you're alive? Like if you didn't even have like one interaction in your lifetime, and then after you die they come to your funeral, like what is the point?
Yeah, that's when I talked
like
about
I don't necessarily want that.
I do agree with you. I do agree with you on that point. But for me it's more like if I die, I would really love Zoe to come because I really treasure Zoe. So I would love
I remember I made a promise to you.
Yeah.
I think when you told me like you're afraid you're gonna die alone and like nobody's gonna care about you or like take care of your like funeral and things, and I said like wherever I am in the world, like if you died, I'll definitely come to your funeral.
Yeah, I think for me that's more important. It's not like some random people just coming to my funeral and say like hi, bye, or whatever. It's more like I can still have that kind of like last moment with the people I really love, like Zoe, or like my friends, or I hope it won't be my family. But yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah, so like that's more important to me. Yeah.
Yeah, I think like as young people, thinking about death is like a really heavy topic, and it's also kind of like something I think a lot of people do think about these days, because it's like a common thing. People, like nobody at all can escape death. So it's only natural to think about it. But when you think about it, you know, it gives you really this wake-up call, as in like, okay, so what do you want to do with your life? Because you might only have the chance to live your life once. And most of the time I feel like I'm wasting my life away, and I slip. I really like easily these days slip into this really existential dread, like really dark place. Like, I don't know if it's maybe like almost depression. I don't even know. But it's like this fear of not achieving, but like it's not simple. Like, it's not like this simple problem of like, okay, if I'm hungry, I'll make a sandwich, or if I'm cold, I'll get a sweater. It's like I'm scared I'm gonna die and not achieve anything. But how do I fix that? Like, what do I do right now that I can actually fix that? Like, you know, I can't, you know, write a song and become famous and save the world, or I can't, like, you know, become a president right now. Oh, say I'll be a president and save the world. Like, I can't do that. So, you know, what do I do to start? And it's just, it really sometimes puts me like in this constant loop of hopelessness, because like it's not simple problems to solve, and like it's that's like not simple at all, because you can see like philosophers thinking about these things, like, you know, for like centuries on end, and they can't even arrive to an answer. So it makes sense that I don't have an answer. But exactly like this not having an answer is what like kills me a lot.
But I think when people think in this way, some of them will say, okay, so you're really scared of like not achieving things, so the best that you can do is don't have any regrets. Like, don't do anything that will make you regret. Like, if you want to try something, just do it. If you want to achieve something, just work on it. Don't make you regret, like maybe in 10 years or in 20 years, when you look back to your life, look at your life, and then like, I should have done this, I should have done that. People always say you only live once, which is true. And then when the moment of death comes, it's like, it's just a snap, and then everything's gone, and then you cannot do anything anymore. So before that moment comes, you just try to achieve the most that you could do. I think at some point when people leave this world, when you realize, oh, there's nothing that you could do, certainly people would let go more things. I would say you wouldn't care too, like when you're really experiencing that, the feeling of death, the moment of death, you'll be like, oh, there's actually so many things that we cannot control. So we can only let go of something. We can only say goodbye to something. And if you haven't achieved certain things, just to think it in a way that, but at least I've done other things that make me happy. Or because of some of the regrets, I gained something. I met someone. I encountered some opportunities. Maybe I chose another path, but it works. I think it's kind of that feeling when you're really experiencing death. But maybe at this moment we don't think about that. We don't think like that.
Yeah.
I think that's more
because we have this constant urge to achieve.
Yeah.
We always want to have what we want, in like what we have in our minds. We might not necessarily be best for us, but like in our heads, that's the best scenario that could happen. So when we don't get what we want, it's just really easy to go into this never-ending spiral, into thinking, oh, I'm wasting my life. I don't know what to do with my life.
I do agree.
And like, I think like a lot of people, especially our age, would feel like like in the same way, feel similar, because like thinking, especially like just leaving school, because our whole life revolves around school, and then like suddenly we're at work, and then like, oh, will our lives just be like that for the future? I don't know, 5-6 decades, just regular 9 to 5. Is that how interesting my life would be? Like, that's like not exciting at all. I don't get to see the world, don't get to explore. So that's actually a really sad life, and it just makes me feel like so sad.
But I would say at least you're
and can't wait for death sometimes to just take me away.
But I would say at least you're like leaving your comfort zone and trying out different things at this moment. So I wouldn't say you're wasting any time or like wasting your life, honestly. Because you're creating different opportunities, you're trying to put yourself to encounter different things, and then which is really good for you to explore yourself and to just figuring out what life means to you. What's the meaning of life, what you want to achieve in life. Because sometimes when you feel like, oh, I want to be, let's say I want to be an architect for like 10 years. And then after you encounter certain things, you'll be like, oh, I don't want to be an architect anymore. I want to be a writer. I want to be a singer. I want to be volunteer or something, right? Because like based on like different experiences in our lives, we're constantly changing ourselves. So at this point, you're thinking that you cannot achieve certain things, but maybe in 10 years, it doesn't really matter to you anymore. And then you have other goals in life. And then it just keeps you to like moving to different things you're interested in. But I think it's a good thing. Don't try to think it like, oh, I'm not going to achieve all the things that I want to do, but more like at least life is taking me to somewhere good and somewhere I find myself in it. I find my community in it. I find like my life goal in it. I think that's more important than checking all the boxes, I would say. Yeah.
So hypothetically, if you were to, just have maybe like 1 or 2 years left in your life, what is something that you would definitely want to do? Like, what would you do? Would you like quit your job, travel the world, or would you stay, or would you do something else? Like, if you just have 2 years time left.
I mean, obviously, I really want to do something music related, like maybe having my solo concert or something, but I'm not trying to say that in this podcast. But I know like traveling to a new place is really a cliche option, but I would definitely choose that because I feel like if I know my death is coming, I just really want to experience different thoughts or like different experiences before I die. And maybe I would just gather this. Many people did that, like they gather these kind of journeys they went through, like different interesting experiences they had, and then they put them into like a book or something, or maybe I would like just make an album or something. But it's really for me it really means so much to me because it kind of like resembles like the final journey of my life, and I really want that kind of maybe it's a book or it's an album to bury with me. So at least like I'm owning this experience, I'm owning this like journey. It's not going with anyone, it belongs to me forever, and I forever remember this feeling and how happy I am to feel like I am leaving. It really means so much to me. Yeah, I would love to do that. Just try out different things. Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me it's also the same. Like I would definitely want to see the world. There's so much of the world that I haven't experienced, I haven't seen. Would really, really want to, at least understand it or experience it before
understand it. Yeah,
I leave the world. And I think the next thing I would do is kind of talking with my friends, as in like not prepping them that I'm gonna go, but like sometimes you're friends with like some people who maybe have left the country or like you haven't seen in a long time, but you guys are still like on good terms and friends, and like I would really want to like go back and reconnect with all those people.
Yeah,
like it's actually like, oh, I can actually do it now, but like it's like
we have so many things to achieve in life.
Yeah, so like in different circumstances.
Time on ourselves. Yeah.
Yeah, I think like when you know that your time is coming to an end, you have this like like this kind of enlightened thought, like become really like
I get that.
No more hatred, or like
oh my god, no more hatred. Yes.
Kind of like hate or grudge towards anyone, and you just want to be on good terms. And like I don't really necessarily will vibe with that, but because like there's a reason why I hate these people. So let the hatred
I don't
be.
think you need to forgive them. Just tell them like I really hate you.
Yeah,
it's like a goodbye
to
them.
Like
as well.
It's not worth my time trying to resolve that personally. I would like go to people who I really like and like care about, I support and support me and I love, and like spend some time with them and let them prepare them like what's going on, so like it's not too sudden for them. And then kind of go off on my own journey to do like what I want to experience. So and then like I might die in the middle of like like a foreign place, like in the middle of the sea, in the middle of like I don't know, a desert, but at least like I would die. Like that's the last thing I've done is stepping out of my comfort zone, and I can die and I can rest in peace knowing that.
Yeah.
Instead of like, oh, a girl dying in her bed, like, oh, really peacefully, which is good, but like not doing anything outstanding or exciting in her life.
I think maybe for you, saying like doing farewell with your loved one is really important to you. Is you don't want them to feel like you just left and then that's it. You really want to say a formal goodbye to all of them. I think this is really
a farewell party.
It's really like a heavy thing to say like but it's actually really sweet things to do as like honestly, because I didn't why I didn't think about that. Maybe it's more like I have been caring about people like my friends feeling about me, or maybe I care too much about my friends, my family, that I really want to put that like my final journey, like just leave time for myself. So I would say what I just said, like going on a trip and then maybe write a book, write an album. But it doesn't mean that saying a formal goodbye to your loved one is not a good thing. It's really important, I would say. So I think
because like normally life and death is like so sudden, like people don't really get prepared for it unless like you die from a sickness, then people kind of have like an idea. But sometimes like death can come so suddenly, like anything could literally cause our death. Like I could step out of the road and get hit by a car, touch wood.
Exactly.
Like I could like fall off a train, or like I know, like anything. Like humans are so fragile, like anything could happen. So I feel like if I know that my end is coming, I think the decent thing to do would be to prepare my like loved ones and let them know like this is coming. Like you don't have to be sad, but like I'm just prepping you guys. I'm still here around, but I'll be doing my own thing because I also want to live my life.
That's actually
like
a very
the perfect end for me. And I don't mind dying alone, so I don't need them to surround me when I die. Like so I don't mind like dying in the middle of the desert or on my own, or in the middle of Antarctica. Like I just need to know that like wild. I die. Yes. Like being wild and not being tamed. Yes. Okay. This marks the end of the podcast.
But I think I would like to say is that when people talk about death, it's such like a taboo thing to talk about. Maybe people would be like, it's unluck, like it brings you bad luck to talk about death or anything. But so far in our podcast, like in this episode, we talked about so many things that we encounter in life. Maybe our loved ones die, maybe our relatives die, our grandpa or our like teachers, and then we do actually think about death. So honestly, it's not like a really serious topic to talk about. It's really a natural thing, and I would also like love everyone to think about like what you want to do if you're going to die, or what death means to you, because it's really important to think about like life and what that means to you, so that you can.
I think it's because there is death, that will actually remind us like what we should do or like what we want to do in our life, like how to live our life and use that wisely or like in any way that we want.
It sort of give you a direction in life, like what do you want to do, and
like
which is
really life
important.
Is not limitless, so like utilize what you have.
Don't think like because we're gonna die anyway, so we just waste our time. I think certainly there's something you really want to do but you haven't figured it out yet. So I mean, it's not like an instant process like, oh okay, I know what I have to do. You need to figure it out. It takes time, but it's really worth it. Don't leave any regrets. And I think that marks the end of this episode. Really heavy topic. But at the same time, I think, it's like a really common thing. No one can escape it. It happens every day, every second in the world. So we hope that this is not too heavy. Yeah, and I hope you guys enjoy it.
Yeah, I hope you guys enjoy.
Tell us about your thoughts.
Like if you also like think about death, or if you have any outlooks on death, or any thoughts about like dying alone or fear of death, like please do share it with us.
Yes.
So we know that we're not the only weirdos in this world. But thank you for listening and supporting our podcast, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.